Hello, everybody. I've got some exciting news. We are in the process of launching a faith-based credit union, and so we'd like to welcome you to fill out a survey that is going to be used in the application process. You can go to revivaltoday.com/credit union and fill that out. And thanks ahead of time for filling it out and being a part of this great journey in the world of finance. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Check the Market and Check the News. How's everybody doing? What a wonderful, beautiful day today. Can't see anybody's comments because
total blackout.
There's something going on with an HDMI. So, good morning, Lyric, Ninja,
all
Sandra,
the regulars.
Wayne from Buenos Aires.
Yes, he jumped over.
Yes, so
That's cool.
Good morning, everybody. Christophoris from Indianapolis, if you're watching, welcome.
I keep looking down as if there's going to be comments. There's nothing there.
Michael,
At some point.
welcome. Everybody else, welcome to Check the Market. Make sure you share the broadcast. We should have the comments up and running here fairly soon. But let's get into it. Let's take a look at some news, see what's going on.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Out there, take it away.
North American media isn't showing what is happening in the Netherlands because they don't want their farmers learning how to protest. So not only are highways being shut down, but this is also occurring on the side of the road. Go for it. They're just literally taking like barrels of hay and they're lighting it on fire, and then they'll put them in the middle of highways and like scatter them all throughout and just light them on fire all throughout the country.
Man,
like it's pretty intense. And then they're also taking I love it, different countries are doing it, but Netherlands is most recent. They're taking their cow manure, spraying like the politicians' houses, not just the parliament buildings. And I was like, makes for great content. Just leave it at that.
If I was thinking about this. So, the Netherlands, they have a royal family. Mm-hmm. They have a queen or a king. King now, I guess. King Willem-Alexander, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking it would be like the perfect time for him to grab power. Because if he like sided with the population, right?
Could you imagine?
He could establish him as an absolute monarch again, instead of it being like a constitutional monarchy or something like that. It would be the perfect.
Oh.
So, Your Majesty, King Willem-Alexander, if you're watching,
golden opportunity.
My suggestion is, if you want to reestablish the royal houses of Europe, now's the perfect time.
Right now. Dang. Good thinking there, Patrick. Next. Super serious war, guys.
Are you kidding me?
Let's look at the pictures. So these are all out of Vogue. And there is also a video that came out like behind the scenes of this photo shoot. Continue. There she is. Next. There you go. Super serious. Next. Tedros, misinformation message of the day. Go for it.
Stigma and discrimination can be as dangerous as any virus. and can fuel the outbreak.
Pause.
As we have seen with
This is about monkeypox, FYI. Continue.
COVID-19, misinformation and disinformation can spread rapidly online. So we call on all social media platforms, tech companies, and news organizations to work with us to prevent and counter harmful information.
Just like they did with the C-19. But who are they? In my mind, I'm like, who are you to call upon all of these platforms, all of these governments, and to be like, you need to fall in line with us? Who do you think you are?
The United Nations.
Yeah, exactly. Next. Breaking: 216 House Democrats vote against requiring the U.S. government to disclose the adverse impacts on children's academic achievement, mental health, and social development resulting from school closures and lockdowns. So, the cover-up continues. Next. Judicial Watch obtained 412 pages of records that show the former director of the Galveston National Lab at UTMB, Dr. Leduc, warned Chinese researchers at Wuhan Institute of Virology of potential investigations into the COVID issue by Congress. So you can go read it there. It literally is just documents upon documents of information for you. Next. Britain just ordered the shutdown of Tavistock, the country's only NHS clinic for transgender minors. No more puberty blockers. Kids who identify as trans will instead be referred to certified psychologists and given a proper diagnosis of all their mental health issues.
What?
Yeah, this is huge. So this is what's happening in the UK, and this is why we've been saying keep an eye on the UK with regards to the trans issue around minors, because they've actually, kids, the detransitioners, that's where they first started coming out. It was in the UK. They started suing their parents and going to court and winning cases. And so now the government has been like, we can't ignore this. And this has become too big of an issue that people are making profit off of. So these kids will now actually get proper holistic treatment in hospital and not just be mutilated. So I'm very, very happy about this. Next. Watch, Governor Ron DeSantis talks about his plan to fight back against ESGs. Go for it.
So something called ESG is one of the operating principles of global investing right now. But try to get someone to define with precision what ESG is, and no one will, because there is no precise definition. Because the point of it is to push corporate investors to the left, and then, of course, to punish anyone who dissents. In pursuit of high ESG scores, poor countries like Sri Lanka have destroyed their economies and then saw their government toppled as a result. Countries like Germany are dimming their traffic lights to save electricity because ESG. So if ESG accelerates in this country, you can imagine where we will be. Very few politicians seem aware this is even happening. One who does know what's going on and is doing something to stop it is the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. He has an announcement tonight about his plan to fight ESG in the state of Florida. Governor DeSantis joins us now. Governor, thanks so much for coming on, and thanks for noticing this. It's a big deal. So what are you going to do to push back?
Well, Tucker, we're going to do a couple things. First, we are going to do through Florida state pension system a flat ban on any type of ESG. And as you say, they like to wiggle around. It's basically a way for them to do politics. So we're going to make sure that that fiduciary duty is defined very clearly and that they stick to that. We're also want to provide protections for people in the financial marketplace from being discriminated against based on ideology. I mean, we've seen Wall Street banks discriminate against contractors who are involved in helping us against illegal immigration or against firearm manufacturers, things they don't like. So the upshot of all this, Tucker, is we want to stop these kind of masters of the universe from trying to do through economic power what they cannot achieve at the ballot box. And it's really an end run around democracy where they're trying to impose these things. And here in Florida, I want to be governed by the values of Destin, not the values of Davos.
Well, that's exactly right. It's anti-democratic.
The markets are open.
Has he ever taken a shot at Davos?
I've seen a few different things, but not directly called out. So there you go. He just went for it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty good little speech there. It's a good thing.
I'm impressed.
I'm very. This for me, I was a little iffy on DeSantis.
His poll numbers in the Patrick Franz poll are going way up. Oh, markets are open.
Markets are open.
Sleeping at the wheel here. Dow Jones up 92, S&P up 14, and the Nasdaq up 17 points, so fairly flat. Yesterday was a crazy day. It started up, went down a little bit, and then spiked after the federal. I just blanked. Federal Reserve.
There you go.
My goodness. After the Federal Reserve meeting minutes came out, they're going to raise interest rates another 0.75%. And the market seemed to like it because they think that the worst of it is over. But inflation is still at 9%. And what are we at? 2.5% now? 2.75%? 2.5% I think is where we're at for interest rates from the Fed. So I don't know how you're going to fight 9% inflation with 2.5% interest rates, but
This government will find a way.
they will.
They will.
Oil is up, $98 a barrel. Let's see. Bitcoin is up slightly. Could we be seeing another rally here now? 23,220 up 9% over the past 24 hours. Ethereum up 12%. XRP 35 cents. Dogecoin up 6.84%. Avalanche 10.64%. Shiba Inu 6.54%. So that's it for the markets. That's where we're at here at Market Open. Let's take a look at some financial news, see what we got. GDP fell 0.9% in the second quarter, the second straight decline and a strong recession signal. Let's see it. The U.S. economy contracted for the second quarter from April to June, hitting a widely accepted rule of thumb for a recession, the Bureau of Economic Analysis reported Thursday. Pressured by surging inflation, rising interest rates, and intensifying supply chain pressures, gross domestic product fell 0.9% for the period, following a 1.6% decline in the first quarter. The Dow Jones estimate was for a gain of 0.3%. Officially, the National Bureau of Economic Research declares recessions and expansions and likely won't make a judgment on the period in question for months, if not longer. But a second straight negative GDP reading means a long-held basic view of recession, despite the unusual circumstances of the decline. And regardless of what the NBER decides, GDP is the broadest measure of the economy and encompasses the total level of goods and services produced during the period. Now, this is from CNBC, so I don't know if doesn't look like they're going along with the whole narrative that the good old White House tried to push.
Which is weird. Like, it's not just them. It's like multiple publications. Yeah. They're like, we know this is all a farce.
There were a couple articles that I read, and when I looked up, I like to look up people's like Twitter.
Yeah.
And so when I looked up their Twitter, you could tell exactly what side of the aisle they were on. Which with some of the ones that are fairly neutral, you can't tell are they Republican, are they, with some of the ones in the Wall Street Journal and, different publications. Even CNBC, there's some where it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I like less bent.
Next. JetBlue wins Spirit takeover battle with $3.8 billion deal. So JetBlue is buying Spirit Airlines. Let's see it. Spirit Airlines on Thursday agreed to a $3.8 billion buyout offer from low-cost rival JetBlue, ending a drawn-out battle for the carrier whose acquisition would help create the fifth largest U.S. airline. The victory for JetBlue comes after Spirit canceled its $2.7 billion sale to Frontier Group Holdings, but the potential combination is expected to kick off a fight with antitrust regulators. JetBlue's offer price of at least $33.50 per share represents a premium of nearly 38% to the last closing price of Spirit shares, including a ticking fee or small monthly payments to Spirit shareholders from January next year. Until the deal is completed, the offer can go up to $34.15 per share. Spirit Airlines were up nearly 5% before the bell as investors cheered the end of a takeover saga that began in April. JetBlue rose 1% and Frontier was 1.6% higher. Both carriers were locked in a bidding war to create a combined airline that will better compete with legacy U.S. carriers at a time when the industry faces a labor crunch and high jet fuel costs. Go to the other articles that I sent about Spirit Airlines. I think it was from the Wall Street Journal. This was interesting when I saw this. How the pilot shortage made JetBlue overpay for Spirit, because they both have the same fleet. They both have Airbus fleets.
Right.
So JetBlue's logical choice for a merger would have been Alaska Airlines, but a lack of skilled pilots makes executives unwilling to mix Boeing and Airbus fleets.
This makes sense. Interesting.
So they're trying to, get ahead of it, which I think is smart, because they'll be able to take some of the Spirit Airlines and routes that aren't as profitable or whatever. JetBlue will probably cut those, and then end up using the pilots so they can have more flights to their big routes.
Mm-hmm. Smart move.
Yeah. Let's see the article. JetBlue, why has JetBlue fought so hard and offered so much to buy Spirit Airlines? North America's pilot shortage may be the ultimate reason. On Thursday, JetBlue announced the acquisition of Spirit after the latter terminated its merger agreement with Frontier Wednesday. Spirit's board was unable to convince shareholders to choose Frontier's logical proposal over their own self-interest, which is to get more money from JetBlue. It's a painful blow from Frontier chairman Bill Frank, who led Spirit's pioneering conversion to an ultra-low-cost model between 2006 and 2013. Merging the two carriers would have been the culmination of his work, delivering straightforward scale gains by joining two like-minded companies. Yet from the left field came JetBlue, which fears being left out of another round of consolidation and is willing to overpay to avoid it. After years of mergers, the big four U.S. airlines finished the pre-pandemic period with roughly 80% of domestic seat capacity. A race to create worthy challengers was bound to begin. Continue. Ultra low cost. The most intuitive way, you can keep going. The most intuitive way for it to go was to have Spirit merge with Frontier and JetBlue with Alaska Airlines instead. Consolidation will start between the two carriers that have little in common, leading to a heap of questions about integration. Unit costs highlight this. Spirit and Frontier are expected to spend slightly above 6 cents per available seat mile this year, excluding fuel, according to Visible Alpha. At the end of the spectrum, a full-service airline such as United Airlines has unit costs around 11 cents because it caters to a premium clientele and faces stronger demands from a unionized workforce. Sandwiched between the two at around 9 cents are JetBlue and Alaska, which are budget airlines but offer a more premium product with onboard amenities to passengers in big metropolitan areas. So I thought this was very interesting that they were willing to pay so much, but it makes sense.
It does,
because a lot of pilots retired for some reason, and so they're looking for crews. They're looking for airlines. I agree. Comments are back up, so I can see some of the comments now. American Airlines, United Airlines, Delta, they have all been having serious issues with their schedules lately. All airlines.
Yeah.
And so JetBlue is thinking outside the box there and getting some more pilots. And the pilots with JetBlue are possibly might earn more than Spirit, because I know Spirit's an ultra low cost airline and JetBlue is a little bit better than Spirit. Continue. What else we got? Good financial morning to you too, Matthew. Southeast Ohio. That's pretty close to here. Meta earnings miss expectations. Net income plummets 36%. So this is Facebook, Meta, Facebook.
Wow.
Good morning to you, Sandra. Let's see it. Facebook parent company Meta reported its Q2 22 earnings after the closing bell on Wednesday, falling shy of analysts' expectations and missing by a wide margin on its Q3 revenue forecasts. The quarter also marked the first year-over-year revenue decline for the social media company. Net income also fell 36% year-over-year. So this is looking like TikTok is taking a big chunk out of Facebook, and as well as all the updates that Apple did to its products, where you can't be so easily tracked.
Yeah.
Except for Apple, they can still track you.
Right.
But all other companies are basically cut out and they can't track you as easily anymore. Here are the most important numbers from the report. Revenue 28.8 billion versus 28.9 expected. Earnings per share 2.46 versus 2.54. So it's not a big miss on what the expectations were, but it's still a 36% decline in net income. Meta's Q3 revenue forecast fell short of analyst expectations, coming in at between 26 and 28.5 billion. Wall Street was looking for 30.32. And while daily active Facebook users increased by 8 million users quarter over quarter, monthly active users declined by 2 million users quarter over quarter. CEO Mark Zuckerberg blamed the drop on internet blocks related to the war in Ukraine.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Continue.
Nobody believes these people. Oh my word.
Because all 8 million people in Ukraine can't access Facebook anymore. The company's family of apps, which include the likes of Instagram, WhatsApp, saw quarter-over-quarter increases in both daily active and monthly active users. Shares of the company were down more than 4% following the report. Ahead of Meta's earnings, the Federal Trade Commission announced it is seeking an injunction to block the social media company's acquisition of Within, maker of virtual reality fitness app Supernatural. All right, so more bad news for Facebook there. Next. Kathy Wood's ARK Invest dumps 1.4 million Coinbase shares amid SEC probe. Go to the last slide on this one. Wood's firm sold Coinbase at all-time lows of $53 per share after purchasing the stock at an average of nearly $255 per share. Dealing a further blow to ARK's lineup of beleaguered activity, the popular ARK Innovation Fund is down more than 50% year-to-date. Huge in Donald Trump. Huge. That is not good.
No.
$53 per share, man. But as ARK trimmed its position in Coin, the firm loaded up on e-commerce giant Shopify. So I know I was talking about Shopify yesterday. I know that ARK invested in it. But I don't know, Kathy Wood seems to have lost her touch there recently. We'll see what happens. Continue. Is Mark Zuckerberg taking the first step towards turning Facebook into Yahoo 2.0? By putting the algorithm in charge of Facebook to mimic TikTok, its totalitarian leader endangers the lifeblood of Meta and maybe risking the type of downward spiral that has already seen popular Silicon Valley web portals fall apart. Continue. There's always going to be new social media companies that come out. Because when Facebook came out, it what was the one before that called? MySpace, yes. So they put an end to MySpace, basically.
Yeah, they did.
So, if TikTok doesn't get regulated, if Facebook can't get enough lobbyists into Washington to convince them to shut TikTok down, then TikTok might, that's what all the younger generation is on. They're not on Facebook.
Nope. Well, and Instagram just did an update where, like, when you're scrolling, everything is starting to look like TikTok on Instagram.
Yeah,
so I've
noticed that.
Yeah, it's like, it's so annoying, but
Yeah.
it's the diversity of platforms needs to remain.
Yeah.
But yeah, there'll always be competition, which is great.
Yahoo was once the most popular website on the planet, the only place that everyone on the internet seemed to touch at least once an online session. After an ignominious slide, however, Yahoo is just another site that has some fans in certain parts of Asia and offers some niche products. Has Mark Zuckerberg launched Facebook on a similar path? That is the big question investors need to start asking as the Meta platform's chief executive scrambles to shift his strategy amid obvious signs of distress. After its first ever decline in users 3 months ago, Facebook reported its first quarterly revenue decline in history Wednesday. And Zuckerberg's answer is to mimic a rival and send the company to dangerous waters that already almost killed the platform and took US democracy with it. Okay, yeah, relax. Wow. Zuckerberg is changing the company's core apps to become more reliant on artificial intelligence to drive the content its users see, seeking to mimic growing Chinese rival TikTok. A major shift to give the algorithm more power over what people see on Facebook and Instagram. Zuckerberg told analysts on the company's second quarter earnings call that Meta's apps rely more on its discovery engine instead of people or things you follow for content.
Wow.
That means users will see and are already seeing content from complete strangers in their feeds and videos just like TikTok. Mm-hmm. Although, last time I was on Instagram, I didn't mind it.
You didn't mind it?
No, it was like, I follow this one page on Instagram that's all about Land Rovers.
Yep.
Because I love Land Rovers. I grew up with them. And so it gave me a whole bunch of different, like on my whatever feed, it gave me airplanes and Land Rovers. And so I was like, man,
you're happy.
This is pretty cool.
Fair enough.
Continue. Right now, about 15% of content in a person's Facebook feed and a little more than that of their Instagram feed is recommended by our AI from people, groups, or accounts that you don't follow. And we expect these numbers to be more than double by the end of next year. So you're not going to see stuff from the people that you actually follow anymore.
It's kind of annoying. Like if that's actually what's happening.
Like on your main feed.
Yeah.
The one that you like scroll down, you see everybody's stuff.
That part annoys me. Just a little.
Yeah, because there's people on Instagram that are specifically there for. It's not like the younger generation, but I guess you got to cater to the younger generation, otherwise you're going to lose out in the next 10 years. Facebook was lucky to survive a series of scandals in recent years. We all know all about that. So, is Facebook going the way of Yahoo? That remains to be seen. Patrick got hacked by the IG algorithm. I did. They went through to see who I follow, and they basically recommended that. So it was preachers, Land Rovers, other vehicles, Mercedes watch companies, and planes.
There you go. Tailored list made for you.
And like stock tips.
Oh yeah.
That were in there.
I like to screw up
cryptocurrency, different stuff like that.
Never let the algorithm get the better of me, so I like putting the most random things and search up, and then the algorithm just never gets me. It's great.
All right, next. One day before the CHIPS bill vote, Pelosi sold $5 million in NVIDIA stock ahead of vote on chipmaker subsidies.
Shocker.
Well, there you have it. Continue.
What the?
So go to the other tweet that I sent you. This is from the Financial Times, which is arguably the biggest financial newspaper in Europe. It's like the Wall Street Journal here, basically. So excluding hotels and the like, inflation in rent and home prices is approaching double digits, and Jim Cramer is saying inflation has peaked, which leads us to worry that it hasn't. This is from the Financial Times, taking a shot at Jim Cramer.
Thank God. Oh my God.
So this is not only just like a Reddit/Twitter meme at this point anymore. This has gone mainstream.
I'm going to go follow whoever wrote this. It's awesome.
Let's see the article from the Financial Times. So I was like, okay, this can't be true, but it actually is. This is the article. From the Financial Times.
This is the picture they chose to use.
Yes. So yeah, that, I mean, you can read it on your own time, but this is from the Financial Times. Go back to the, hear that, that's the sound of 100 basis points. The biggest Fed hike since Volcker is being priced as a possibility in the bond market.
Wow. Literally, it's
Hilarious.
just comedy hour.
No, it is. It is. I wonder what he has to say about this. I'm going to tweet this article at him, see what he says.
Just spam his account. Love it.
At this point, I would retire if I was Jim Cramer, if the Financial Times is taking shots at me.
Yes. But will he?
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
Uh-oh. All right, before my battery dies here, let me go over the stocks to research. So yesterday, I said that I was going to look at some dividend yield stocks that you can invest in for long term. So there's 3 that I came up with that are cheap, that have a cheap expense ratio. Their yields aren't the best. You're going to have to look at individual stocks if you want more yield. But there's the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, SCHD. Highly liquid, cheap expense ratio. Their expense ratio is 0.06%, which is very cheap. And it has a dividend yield of 3.1%. VYM, Vanguard High Dividend ETF, highly liquid as well. So there's a lot of trading of it going on. It's also cheap, and it has a yield of 2.7%. That's VYM, Vanguard High Dividend ETF. The first one was SCHD, Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF. I know the dividend yields on this aren't as high, but they also appreciate in value over time. So it's not like, well, obviously there's going to be market ups and downs, but you still get your dividend yield. Now, there's another one that I found. It's called the Vanguard Dividend Appreciation ETF, VIG. This one also has a low expense ratio, 0.06%. Excellent performance at around 12% per year. So that's incredible performance. The dividend yield isn't as great at 1.8%, but you're still going to get dividends over the long run, including the on average 12%. So if you put money in this, keep it in there for 20 years, you'll have some good returns on that one. So that was SCHD, Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, VYM, Vanguard High Dividend ETF. These are also not very high risk. So the reason why I bring these up is I know that somebody asked me yesterday, what can I put something in long term to take the money out of my company funds or whatever it is and invest it in something on my own. This is something that you can take a look at. SCHD, VYM, VIG. These are long term. So I would hold these minimum of 10 years and just let it accumulate. And then tomorrow I'm going to give you some dividend funds because there's some that I'm invested in. There's a Fidelity one I'm in. There's a Vanguard one that I'm in. These are mutual funds that have done very well over the last couple of years. And one of them is from when Bethany, my wife, was working at Starbucks, and she got like a retirement account with them. And so there's a little bit of money that got put in there, and I never touched it. I just moved it into some different funds that were available with Fidelity, and it's done very well.
Awesome.
That was in 2013. 2012, 2013. So that's almost 10 years, and it's almost tripled.
Really?
So that's pretty good for 10
That's
years.
very good.
If you keep doing that, that's the first 10 years. So what if it triples again in the next 10 years? So if you can end up with a sizable amount of money, and that's what, that's how the majority of investors get wealthy. It's not the quick, options trade, although that does happen. It is over the long term. Investing is long term.
I feel like that's something,
Trading is short term.
I feel like that's something a lot of young people don't understand is they see all these Instagrammers, like a very small, minute amount, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, they made it big.
Yeah.
But then they don't understand that the majority of people with actual wealth,
Yes.
it takes them until like 40s, 50s, 60s
Yeah.
when everything catches up.
Exactly. So if you start investing in some of those funds now, take 80% of your investment portfolio, invest them in some of those funds now, and then down the road, even when you're 30, if you're 20 now, when you're 30, when you're 40, you're going to have a sizable amount.
Yeah.
Especially if you keep adding to it.
Right.
And then do dividend reinvestments instead of taking the money out. All right, so I'll take a look. I got a couple more to take a look at, but tomorrow I'll give you some dividend funds for those of you who would like to invest for the long term. All right, and if you'd like to invest in Revival today, we'll give you an opportunity to do that now. Here are the ways that you can give. The greatest investment returns that I've seen in my life was from sowing seed, from investing in good soil, in good ministries, and Revival today is good soil. And so if you'd like to invest in Revival today, here are the ways that you can do that. # donate on Facebook, text to give, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. We also accept cryptocurrencies. So you can scan that QR code. If there's any you would like to donate that we don't have, call our office at 412-446-2332 or info@revivaltoday.com. We do accept a lot more, just not through that merchant platform there. Continue. You can also send us a check by mail, Revival Today, P.O. Box 7, Prosperity, Pennsylvania, 15329. For those of you who are new to the show, I will send you this. And for those of you who aren't, I will send you this as a thank you for investing today. The How to Make Money in Stocks by William J. O'Neill. Should be an orange cover. This is one of the all-time best books on investing. It's on value investing, not on how to get rich, but this will give you a foundation for investing in stocks. So we'll send that to you as a thank you for investing in Revival today. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for being a part of Check the Market, Check the News. Thank you so much, and we'll be back with you tomorrow. Let's see what the markets are doing real quick before we sign out. Down, NASDAQ 134, S&P down 19, and the Dow Jones down 130 points. So we'll see you all tomorrow, see where the markets ends up. Go out there and make some money today. We'll see y'all.